What's up, guys? It is Kevin, and today I'm going to be talking to you about motivation, right? Motivation is a very controversial topic. Why? Because some people say motivation doesn't work, motivation doesn't last, and while others say you need motivation to get things done, right? You need to feel motivated, right? So who's right? Who's wrong? Today I'm going to be sharing with you the secrets to motivation. And in sharing this with you, I hope to open up your eyes to the different aspects of motivation, the different layers, because motivation really is a multifaceted, multi-layered concept, right? I'm gonna explain to you what I mean by this. But to answer the question, who's right, I think both individuals are right. Motivation, in the sense of the good feel, the good powerful emotions where you feel inspired and you're like, yeah, let's get things done. You have a vision, you have very elevated, strong emotions behind what you're doing. That fleets, right? That goes away. But that's not the only type of motivation. So in the sense that motivation doesn't last, that it doesn't stay with you, that sense of power, that sense of strong emotion doesn't stay with you, that's true. And on the other side, motivation in terms of other emotions, other aspects, that's what you need as well. Because, Brendon Burchard, a speaker, a trainer, motivational speaker, he wrote a book called The Motivation Manifesto. And there's definitely some good bits and pieces within that. But why would he write a book on motivation if motivation doesn't work, right? So it's all about relativity. From this angle, it's true, and from this angle, it's true. And today, I'm going to be sharing with you the different layers, the different aspects of it, so you can tap into and discover your own motivation, right? Because the reason why I'm making this video is because I myself can get discouraged really easily. Or not really easily, but I found myself getting discouraged and not feeling so motivated, because sometimes results don't show up right away. Sometimes things take longer for things to actualize and to be able to be realized. But that sense of motivation that you feel, that strong sense of motivation, that powerful, like everything feels right, that type of motivation doesn't last, right? But there's a different approach you can take to this. There are different layers underneath that you can really dig into and discover. Because one big source of motivation that I have found personally myself is that the death timer, right? I look back at my life and I realize, okay, this many days have passed. This much time has been wasted. And I really reflect, how did I use that time? Did I accomplish a satisfactory amount of work during that time? And the more I think about it, the more I look at it, the more I really ponder how many days have passed, it creates a sense of urgency within me. For other people, I see them moping around, wandering around. Not to say that I don't do that, but that becomes my source of motivation. When I see that I'm not utilizing each day to my fullest potential, when I'm squandering my time away, when I'm not doing what I'm meant to do, when I'm not producing value, when I'm not creating content, I feel unease. I feel this itch. And that in itself is a source of motivation, right? It's just a different source. So the first type of motivation that I want to cover with you is the motivation of pain and motivation of pleasure. So pain and pleasure. These two sources of motivation can be tapped into. What is the pain that you will receive if you do not do what you're supposed to do? What is the pleasure that you will receive when you're not doing what you're supposed to do? Now, for these two types of motivation, it can be different for everyone, which is why some people don't believe in motivation, because there's so many different types of ways you can get motivated. Some people simply are motivated because they don't want to experience something. Some people want to get motivated simply because they do want to experience something. So it's about discovering and tapping into the type of motivation that works for you. So that's the first type. The second type that I want to share with you is intrinsic versus extrinsic. Now, I'm sure you've heard of this before, And if not, I'm gonna explain it to you really quick. So intrinsic motivation is a source of motivation that comes from within. Extrinsic motivation, as the name implies, is motivation that comes from without or externally. Quick example. Intrinsically, right? I want to feel better. I want to perform better, so I eat better foods. Extrinsic would be I want to eat better foods so I can look good for other people. Intrinsic versus extrinsic. The more intrinsic, so apparently, according to studies, intrinsic motivation is more powerful because that's what lasts, because that's something that you want to do. And if you're intrinsically motivated, as in, you don't feel satisfied unless you've done this or that, which is what I've shared with you earlier. If I don't create value, if I don't produce content, intrinsically I feel off. So discovering the more intrinsic motivational factors that you can discover, that you can tap into from within, the stronger that force will be. And then you pair it with external reasons. So intrinsic motivation, extrinsic motivation on top of that, and then now you have this big globe of motivation. So my goal here isn't to motivate you, it's to help you discover which types of motivation works for you. So far we have pain and pleasure as the first type of motivation. The second one we have intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. And the third one that I shared with you earlier, which I think is very, very, very powerful, is reflecting on the time that has passed. Look back on your life today, look back on your life this year, look back on your life through the few months, the few weeks, whatever you've been doing, and ask yourself, how have you been living these days? How have you been spending your time? Are you happy and satisfied with the time, with the progress, with the things that you've been doing to move your life forward? If you have not been, you've just tapped into the pain that's associated with that. And what is the other one? The extrinsic part of it, right? These two different factors are really, really powerful. It's so important that you discover something that works for you. It doesn't just have to be, I feel good. The motivation doesn't just have to be, I feel good. It could be, I feel really, really bad. The consequences of not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. That is in itself a source of motivation. And again, it's journaling, it's reflecting, it's understanding who you are, what works for you. And another part of being able to understand what motivates you is discovering your purpose, is to identify what is it that you're supposed to be doing, who are you? Once you can understand that, which is a really complex and deep topic, and to briefly go over it, how you do that is by taking action, is by putting yourself out there, is by experimenting. The more actions you take, the more you'll understand who you are, what you enjoy, what makes you happy, and the more you do what makes you happy, the more you'll realize, okay, this is what I'm meant to be doing. So if you're unhappy right now, what I would recommend is investigating, discovering your personality, who you are, and doing things that align with that and make you happy. And the more you do that, the more you'll weed out, okay, this doesn't make me happy, this makes me happy, this makes me even more happier, and then you go towards that. And the more you do that, you'll realize, okay, all this other stuff I should be cutting out, this is all bullshit, and I should focus my attention on here. And when you're not doing what makes you happy, you'll realize, you'll know exactly what that is, and then you'll get yourself back on track, and then you'll be like, okay, I need to be doing this. And this is my motivation, this is my purpose, this is my inspiration. And when I'm not doing this, I'm not feeling any of that. So the fourth thing is discovering your purpose, understanding why you're here, understanding who you are. So those are the four things, the four different layers of motivation that you can tap into. The first one, pain and pleasure. What hurts you? What makes you happy? The second thing is understanding your intrinsic and extrinsic sources of motivation. Writing them out, writing out the lists of different things. And the third one is the death timer, reflecting on yourself. Because some people don't have any source of urgency. For me, when I discovered, not to be frank with you, when I had an experience of ego death, right? When I did shrooms, for some of you guys that's probably way out there, you don't have to take drugs for it, but I experienced what it's like almost dying. And I realized when I reflected back on it, like for some reason I had a vision that I like my family wasn't there anymore. I tried to go back and hang out with my friends, but they weren't anymore, and they were telling me, you know, what matters most at the end of the day is time, because time, like the hourglass, each day you drip seconds, minutes, days. It just goes by, and you look back and another year has passed, another few years have passed, and what have you done with your life? Nothing. So that is a really powerful source of motivation for me, because I've personally experienced it. For you, you may not have that same source of urgency. It's about discovering something that works for you. And then finally, your purpose. Understanding who you are, understanding your personality, and then doing things that align with that. And when you do things that will align with that, you'll realize how much more fulfilling life is, and every other activity that is subordinate to that takes away from it. And when it takes away from it, you'll feel the pain that's associated with not doing your activity, not doing your purpose, and because of that, you become motivated to do it through pain. So pain and pleasure, intrinsic versus extrinsic, death timer, and discovering your purpose. And then finally, I want to leave you with some quotes. I think it was Waldo Emerson who said this. Do the thing and you'll have the power. Because a lot of people, they don't feel like it. A lot of people say, because this can sound all good and conceptual, but when it comes down to it, the biggest culprit, the biggest enemy, the biggest issue that I had was I don't feel like it, right? If you want to solve this problem, look up my video on YouTube. It's called The Secrets to Achieving Your New Year's Resolutions, and that will teach you how to destroy this enemy, right? So the biggest culprit is I don't feel like it. Well, the quote is, do the thing and you will feel the power. And to layer on top of this, I want to share with you another quote, right? Amateurs wait until they feel like it to do the work. Professionals do the work so they can feel like it. Whoa. Amateurs wait until they feel like it to do the work. Professionals do the work so they can feel like it, which is do the work and you will have the power. When I don't feel like working out, I've conditioned myself, no matter if I don't feel like it's just automatic. I still do it, and then all of a sudden I feel like it, especially with my music. Oh my God, I get in the zone, I'm in flow, I just focus at what's at hand, everything feels good. When I don't feel like making these videos, I go down here anyways and I just start speaking. If it's a shitty video, it's fine. I still do it, I don't post it, but then the next time I don't feel like it, I still do it, and it just flows. And the key here is to really focus on doing the work. Just do the work and you will feel like it. Trust me, do the work and you'll feel like it. And watch the video on the secrets to achieving a New Year's resolution. I promise you guys, you will achieve your goals in no time. And I will see you guys at the top. Make sure you watch this video over and over again to really understand the different layers, the concepts behind motivation, and then share this video if you got some if you got some value out of it, and then like it, comment, subscribe, and tag a friend. Have a wonderful day, my friends. It is a wonderful day to be alive. Feel blessed. Yes.